Lakes are meant to calm the mind, to reflect the sky, to be places of peace and quiet. But some lakes in America hold far darker secrets. They are mirrors not only of the world above, but of the shadows beneath. Places where the water hides stories of the vanished, whispers of the lost, and secrets that refuse to stay buried. People have gone to these lakes and never returned. They vanish without a trace, leaving only ripples on the water as a silent reminder of what was taken. Tonight, we dive into 20 haunted lakes across America, where darkness lingers, and the unknown waits patiently beneath the surface. Where darkness lingers, and the unknown waits patiently beneath the surface. Where darkness lingers, and the unknown waits patiently beneath the surface. 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 Lakes have always been mysterious. Their calm surfaces hide depths we cannot see. And their waters have carried secrets for centuries. Across the United States, there are lakes with histories that chill the bone. Some were sites of tragedies, others witnessed disappearances that defy explanation. Visitors often report strange phenomena, like sudden drops in temperature, whispers that drift over the water, and shadows moving beneath the waves. Some see figures standing at the water's edge, staring silently before vanishing. Others hear splashes in the night, only to find the lake completely still. These lakes are not merely haunted, they are alive with memories of the past. Every disappearance leaves a mark. Every tragedy adds a ripple to the dark energy that lingers. As we explore these 20 haunted lakes, picture yourself standing on the shore at night. The water reflects a pale moon, mist swirls across the surface, and the forest beyond seems to breathe. A sudden chill brushes your skin, a faint whisper calls your name, and the water moves as if something beneath stirs in anticipation. Before we step closer to the first lake, consider Thesa. If you were alone by one of these haunted lakes at night, would you dare to look into the water? Shadow Lake lies hidden deep within the dense forests of Pennsylvania, a remote body of water that seems to exist out of time. Its surface is still and dark, reflecting the towering trees that surround it. And the air carries a quiet weight, as if the forest itself holds its breath. Even in daylight, a sudden fog can roll across the water, thick and impenetrable, swallowing the shoreline and softening the edges of reality. Visitors who come seeking peace or solitude often find themselves confronted with a sense of unease. As if the lake itself watches and waits. The fog is one of Shadowlockia's most unsettling features. It can appear without warning, drifting in from the trees and wrapping around anyone near the water. Shapes emerge within the mist, sometimes fleeting and barely visible, sometimes lingering just long enough to be unmistakable. Shadowy figures are frequently reported along the shore, moving with a quiet deliberation, their forms indistinct and ever-shifting. They are rarely seen directly, often appearing only in the corner of Oni's vision, vanishing when attention is fully focused upon them. Locals speak of faint cries that seem to rise from beneath the water. The sounds are low and distant, carrying across the lake with a hollow resonance. Those who hear them describe an almost magnetic pull, a sensation that draws attention to the surface and the depths below. It is said that the cries are not just echoes but a warning, a reminder that Shadow Lake has claimed lives in the past. And that those who linger too long risk joining the missing. Travelers are advised to respect the water's edge and leave before darkness or fog descends. The forest surrounding the lake adds to the haunting atmosphere. Trees grow closely together, their branches intertwining to form dense canopies that block much of the sky. The forest floor is uneven and covered with fallen leaves and roots, making every step cautious and deliberate. Even in daytime, the filtered light creates long shadows, distorting shapes and encouraging the imagination to see movement where there is none. It is easy to feel isolated, cut off from the outside world, and acutely aware of the unseen presences that might be watching from the mist or the woods. Visitors often describe a sense of being followed, a subtle awareness that does not dissipate with movement. Steps echo in the underbrush, distant and irregular, sometimes matching the rhythm of Oni's own. Figures may appear along the shoreline, standing still as if observing, then vanish entirely when approached. The lake and forest together create an environment where perception is tested, where the ordinary sounds of wildlife mingle with whispers and movement that may not belong to the natural world. The water itself is dark and opaque, reflecting little of the sky. Small ripples sometimes break the surface without apparent cause, and shadows seem to shift beneath, moving with an intelligence that is difficult to explain. At times, the mist thickens and the line between land and water blurs. It is in these moments that the lake feels most alive, as though it possesses a consciousness and the power to influence those who come too close. Even seasoned hikers report unease in such conditions. A deep sense that the lake is a presence rather than just a feature of the landscape. As evening approaches, the fog grows heavier and the forest becomes more oppressive. Light dims quickly beneath the thick canopy, and the sounds of nocturnal animals are accompanied by something softer, something deliberate and human-like, that cannot be easily identified. Shadowy figures move with purpose along the water's edge, sometimes distant, sometimes close enough to feel the space between reality and imagination narrow. The cries from beneath the water intensify in this low light, their source uncertain, their meaning unsettling. The allure of Shadow Lake is undeniable despite its dangers. It draws visitors with its haunting beauty, the quiet rippling water, the interplay of fog and forest. The strange sense of history embedded in the landscape. Yet the stories persist, and with each new report of figures, whispers, and vanishings, the Lurks's reputation grows. Those who enter the area often speak of a palpable tension, a feeling that something unseen observes and judges. Waiting to engage with the living in ways that are subtle yet unforgettable. Every visit to Shadow Lake is a confrontation with uncertainty. The mist, shadows, and cries create an environment that is immersive and disorienting. The shoreline appears to stretch endlessly, shapes shift with the wind. And the sense of isolation grows with each step. It is a place where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural feels thin. A location that tests perception, courage, and respect for the unknown. By dawn, the fog lifts and the lake returns to its still, reflective state. The figures vanish, the cries fade. And the forest becomes just another collection of trees. Yet the memory of night remains, etched into the minds of those who witnessed the Lurks's mysteries. Shadow Lake endures as a place where beauty and unease coexist. Where history, legend, and the unseen meet. And where visitors are reminded that some waters hold secrets too deep to be fully understood. Waiting quietly beneath the surface. Watching for the next curious soul to come too close. Bloodwater Lake lies hidden among thick Oregon forests, a small body of water whose surface is deceptively calm. By day, it reflects the surrounding trees and sky with serene perfection. But beneath the surface lies a dark history. Decades of drownings have left an indelible mark on the lake. And those who visit often speak of an atmosphere heavy with unease. As if the water itself remembers every life lost to its depths. Mist often rises from the lake in the early hours, clinging to the surface and drifting toward the trees. Within the mist, visitors have reported seeing figures rise from the water, pale and indistinct, lingering for only moments before vanishing. Sometimes they are glimpsed swimming beneath the surface, shadows moving in patterns that defy natural movement, as though replaying scenes from the past. Sounds are a constant companion at Bloodwater Lake. Splashes ripple across the water when no one is present, echoing against the trees and amplifying the Lurks's haunting presence. Soft whispers, unintelligible yet urgent, drift across the surface, mingling with the rustle of leaves and the gentle lap of water on the shore. Visitors often describe a sensation of being watched, a weight of attention that settles on them without explanation, compelling them to move slowly and cautiously along the banks. The lake's appearance changes under the moonlight. Its water sometimes appears red, as if reflecting the blood of past tragedies. There is no explanation for this phenomenon, yet those who witness it report a visceral reaction. A sense of history manifesting in color. The eerie crimson glow stretches across the surface, transforming the tranquil lake into a place of foreboding, where every ripple carries the memory of loss. Fog and darkness together create an environment that challenges perception. Trees line the shore, their branches twisted and close, framing the lake with shadows that shift as if alive. The mist moves with a quiet purpose, curling along the water and sometimes forming shapes that resemble human figures. Travelers speak of catching glimpses of faces in the fog, features pale and mournful, vanishing as soon as they are observed directly. The air around Bloodwater Lake is charged with stillness and expectation. Even small sounds are magna fide, the snap of a branch, the flutter of leaves, or the movement of water. Each element contributes to the impression that the lake is aware, as though it listens and responds to the presence of the living. Hikers and campers often report an unsettling sensation of proximity, the feeling that unseen eyes follow every step along the shore. The surface of the lake is deceptive. Calm and reflective by day, it conceals the depths, where countless lives have ended. Visitors sometimes feel a sudden chill when standing near the edge, an inexplicable cold that seems to rise from the water itself. Mist and moonlight conspire to enhance the atmosphere, turning ordinary reflections into fleeting images of figures. Glimpses of movement that vanish upon closer inspection. Sounds from the water are often accompanied by visual phenomena. Ripples form where no stone or object has fallen. Shadows shift beneath the surface, and pale figures appear to swim toward the shore, only to disappear in the fog. These manifestations are subtle, yet enough to unsettle even the most skeptical observer. The lake seems to exist in a space where time and memory overlap, replaying the tragedies of the past in ways that are only partially visible to the living. Visitors report that the longer they stay near the water, the more pronounced the experiences become. Mist thickens, shadows deepen, and the sensation of being watched intensifies. The red glow of the water under moonlight becomes more vivid, reflections of trees and sky distorted as though the lake itself is shifting its surface to reveal hidden truths. Some describe hearing the sound of splashing footsteps that mimic their own movements but originate from no visible source. Bloodwater Lake is more than a scenic destination. It is a place where history, memory, and lingering presence converge. The mist, the deep dark water, the eerie red glow, and the occasional glimpses of figures create an atmosphere both beautiful and unsettling. Those who approach the shore carry with them the sensation of standing on the threshold of the unknown, encountering a lake that holds the weight of decades of tragedy, and where the past never truly rests. To witness Bloodwater Lake is to confront a space alive with echoes, shadows, and whispers. The water remembers, the mist conceals and reveals, and every ripple and shadow carries the imprint of lives lost. Visitors leave with a sense that the lake is both serene and treacherous, a body of water that mirrors not only the sky above but the darkness within the stories it preserves. It is a place where the living brush against the memory of the departed, and where the mysteries of the lake endure, silent, persistent, and haunting. Mistvale Lake lies deep within the pine forests of Michigan, a body of water often concealed by a thick, unnatural fog. The trees surrounding the lake are tall and dense, their branches weaving together to create shadows that shift with the wind. On quiet mornings, the fog clings to the water in heavy layers, distorting the shoreline and making it difficult to discern where land ends and lake begins. There is an immediacy to the place, a feeling that something unseen is always present, watching, waiting. Fishermen who venture onto the lake speak of unsettling experiences. As they cast their lines into the mist, some have reported glimpsing faces beneath the surface, staring upward with hollow, unblinking eyes. The features are faint at first, shimmering through the murk, but linger long enough to provoke unease. The shapes vanish when approached directly, leaving only ripples in the water and the echo of their presence. This phenomenon has become a common tale among locals, a story told to those who are curious or brave enough to spend time on the lake. Whispers are another frequent occurrence, faint and ethereal, carried across the surface by the wind. The voices are soft, sometimes indistinct, as though conversations are happening in another dimension just beyond perception. Travelers and fishermen alike describe them as fragmented, almost melodic, rising and falling with the motion of the mist. The effect is disorienting, creating a sense that the lake itself is alive with memory and communication, a living presence that interacts subtly with those who approach its edges. A sense that the lake itself is alive with memory and communication, a living presence that interacts subtly with those who approach its edges. Some witnesses have claimed to see figures walking across the water. These apparitions are fleeting, gliding along the surface as though supported by an invisible force. They move silently, with no ripple or splash, and vanish instantly when approached. The appearance of these figures adds a tangible layer of mystery, reinforcing the sense that Mistvale Lake is a space where the natural and the supernatural intersect. Those who observe such phenomena often describe a heightened awareness, a deepening sense of curiosity tinged with caution. The landscape around Mistvale Lake enhances the atmosphere. The pine forests create a canopy that blocks sunlight in many areas, allowing shadows to stretch across the water and shoreline. Fallen logs and dense underbrush form natural barriers that obscure movement. And the combination of mist and muted light turns the surroundings into a shifting maze of shapes and colors. Sounds are amplified and distorted, from the call of a distant bird to the soft lapping of water against the shore, creating an immersive auditory environment that draws attention to the subtle details of the place. During the day, the fog softens the edges of the lake, making distances difficult to judge. Ripples on the surface can suggest movement where there is none. And reflections of trees and clouds twist into strange, sometimes unsettling patterns. Shadows appear to move independently of their sources. And the occasional drift of light through the mist can create the illusion of figures stepping across the water. These optical illusions, combined with the natural beauty of the lake, make it both captivating and unnerving for those who linger too long. As night falls, the lake transforms further. The fog thickens, rolling across the surface in waves that seem almost sentient. Darkness conceals the edges of the water. And every sound is magnified and echoed. The whispers become more pronounced, carrying a chill that seeps into the air and into the bones of those who stand at the shoreline. Faces beneath the water appear sharper in the limited light. And the feeling of being observed intensifies. Mistvale Lake becomes a space where perception is stretched. And where the familiar rules of reality feel fluid and uncertain. The history of Mistvale Lake adds. Tales of lost travelers, fishermen who vanished. And inexplicable events have circulated for generations. These stories intertwine with the experiences of modern visitors, creating a layered sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The lake is not merely a body of water. It is a living narrative, a collection of memories, sensations, and unexplained phenomena that continue to shape the way people perceive it. The way people perceive it. A sense of place that is both historical and immediate. Creating a layered sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The history of Mistvale Lake adds to its mystique. Tales of lost travelers, fishermen who vanished. And inexplicable events have circulated for generations. These stories intertwine with the experiences of modern visitors, creating a sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The lake is not merely a body of water. It is a living narrative. A collection of memories, sensations, and unexplained phenomena that continue to shape the way people perceive it. The way people perceive it. Creating a layered sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The history of Mistvale Lake adds to its mystique. Tales of lost travelers, fishermen who vanished, and inexplicable events have circulated for generations. These stories intertwine with the experiences of modern visitors, creating a sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The lake is not merely a body of water. It is a living narrative. A collection of memories, sensations, and unexplained phenomena that continue to shape the way people perceive it. The way people perceive it. Creating a layered sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The history of Mistvale Lake adds to its mystique. Tales of lost travelers, fishermen who vanished, and inexplicable events have circulated for generations. These stories intertwine with the experiences of modern visitors, creating a sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The lake is not merely a body of water. It is a living narrative. A collection of memories, sensations, and unexplained phenomena that continue to shape the way people perceive it. The way people perceive it. Creating a layered sense of place that is both historical and immediate. The history of Mistvale Lake adds to its mystique. Tales of lost travelers, fishermen who vanished, and inexplicable events have circulated for generations. These stories intertwine with the experiences of modern visitors. Visitors often describe leaving the lake with a lingering sense of awe and unease. The fog, the whispers, the faces beneath the water, and the occasional figures walking across the surface all contribute to a profound sense of mystery. Mistvale Lake does not reveal its secrets easily, and those who encounter its phenomena carry the experience with them, often questioning what is real and what is imagined. The lake exists as a liminal space, where the ordinary world meets something deeper, something persistent and unseen. Mistvale Lake endures as a place of quiet power. Its waters, fog, and surrounding pines create an environment that is immersive, haunting, and unforgettable. Every ripple, every whisper, and every shadow is a reminder that this is a space where history, perception, and the unknown converge. To stand on its shores is to be confronted with the subtle presence of the unseen, to feel the weight of what has been lost, and to experience the lingering echoes of a lake that has never truly surrendered its mysteries. Hollow Waters in Tennessee lies quietly, a lake bordered by forest, where a village once thrived. Overgrown paths lead to the water's edge, and remnants of old foundations occasionally break the surface or emerge through the thick vegetation. The area is steeped in history, its air heavy with the weight of memory and absence. Those who visit often sense a presence beyond what can be seen, a lingering connection to lives once lived and homes long abandoned. During the day, the lake is deceptively peaceful. Sunlight glints across the water, reflecting the dense canopy of trees that surrounds it. Birds call and insects hum, masking the undercurrent of something more. Travelers report feeling cold currents brush against their legs, even when standing on solid, dry ground. The sensation is sudden and inexplicable, a reminder that the village that once thrived here has left more than just physical traces behind. As night falls, Hollow Waters transforms into a landscape of mystery. The surface of the lake begins to flicker with lights, faint and intermittent, as if the homes of the long-gone villagers are still standing along the shoreline. Some see shapes in the water, reflections that resemble walls, roofs, and chimneys, though none of the structures remain. The effect is subtle yet disorienting, creating a sense that the village continues to exist in a parallel presence, visible only to those who linger long enough to notice. Voices often accompany the flickering lights, soft and distant at first, calling out to those nearby. They are not harsh or threatening, but insistent, carrying a rhythm and tone that suggests memory, longing, and attention. Travelers describe the experience as immersive and unsettling, as if the village itself is reaching across time to remind them of what once existed. The whispers and calls do not follow conventional logic, and yet they leave a lasting impression, an awareness of unseen observers watching from the edges of perception. The forest around Hollow Waters adds to the atmosphere. Trees rise tall and close together, their shadows merging with the darkness of the night. Mist often drifts across the lake, rolling over the surface in thick swaths that obscure and reveal in equal measure. The effect is cinematic, drawing the eye toward shapes that may or may not exist and deepening the sense that this is a place where the ordinary rules of the world do not fully apply. Even seasoned hikers and locals remark on the unsettling beauty of the scene, noting that every sound, every reflection, and every shift in the mist seems imbued with life beyond the natural. Travelers often describe sensations that cannot be easily explained. A cold touch along the ankle, a tug at clothing, or the faint pressure of a presence beside them can make the boundary between land and water feel ambiguous. The effect is heightened when moving slowly along the shoreline or when standing still and observing the lake. Each sound, ripple, or flicker of light contributes to an overwhelming impression that Hollow Waters is alive with echoes of its past inhabitants. Stories passed down by local residents hint at the origins of the haunting. The village was abandoned decades ago, the reasons lost to time. Yet some suggest economic hardship, illness, or misfortune led to its evacuation. Over time, nature reclaimed the streets and homes, allowing the forest and water to overtake what human hands had built. Yet the energy of the place, some say, has never fully left. Memories of daily life, celebrations, sorrows, and farewells linger, leaving an imprint on the landscape that remains tangible to this day. Perception around the lake is often distorted. Ripples and reflections can create shapes that appear solid. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the water. And lights seem to flicker with intent. The combined effect is both beautiful and unsettling, reinforcing the idea that Hollow Waters exists in two states at once: the natural world and the lingering presence of a forgotten village. Those who pause and observe carefully may feel they are crossing a threshold, stepping between the living and the echoes of what has passed. By dawn, the lights vanish, the voices fade, and the mist retreats back into the trees. The lake returns to its tranquil appearance, sunlight glinting on the calm surface, and birds calling through the forest. Yet those who witnessed the phenomena carry the memory of the experience, a sense of having glimpsed another layer of reality. Hollow Waters is more than a lake surrounded by forest. It is a threshold of memory, a space where absence and presence coexist, and where the lives of those long gone leave traces that are both subtle and undeniable. Hollow Waters, Tennessee stands as a place of quiet wonder and lingering mystery. The submerged village, the flickering lights on the water, the unseen currents, and the voices of the past all create an atmosphere that is haunting yet compelling. Every visit is an encounter with history, memory, and the unseen, leaving those who linger with a profound sense of awe, curiosity, and respect for the enduring presence of the lives that once called this place home. Ravenna's Mirror lies tucked within the dense forests of upstate New York, a lake of serene beauty that reflects the sky and trees with perfect clarity during the day. The water is calm, its surface glassy and undisturbed except for the occasional ripple from a passing fish or the wind across the trees. Birds call and insects hum, the natural sounds of life filling the air. By day, it is a peaceful and picturesque place, drawing fishermen, hikers, and nature enthusiasts seeking a quiet retreat from the outside world. Yet when darkness falls, Ravenna's Mirror transforms into a realm of unease. The calm water becomes an opaque black, absorbing the moonlight and reflecting nothing but the shadows of the surrounding forest. A chill settles over the lake, even on warm summer nights, and the air seems heavy, pressing on the senses. Travelers and locals alike speak of a distinct change in atmosphere. As night takes hold, a feeling that the lake is watching and that something unseen moves along its edges. Fishermen are often among the first to notice the lake's strange behavior after dark. Rods that sit still in the water during the day are suddenly yanked with unexpected force, though no fish are caught or even near the hooks. Lines stretch taut and reels spin with urgency, creating an unnerving tension that cannot be explained by wind or current alone. The phenomenon is repeated often enough that locals warn newcomers to remain alert, as the lake seems to interact with those who linger, testing resolve and patience with movements that feel deliberate. The lake seems to interact with those who linger, testing resolve and patience with movements that feel deliberate. Along the banks, figures are reported to appear in the shadows, always dressed in black and motionless at first. They seem to observe, their forms faint but distinct, and then vanish the moment anyone attempts to approach. These figures are silent, yet their presence is profoundly felt, casting long shadows across the water, sending an immediate shiver down the spine. Witnesses describe a sensation of being watched, of having their movements anticipated, as if the lake and the figures along its edge are engaged in a quiet, unseen dialogue with those who venture too close. The forest surrounding Ravenna's mirror contributes to its eerie ambience. Trees crowd the shoreline, their branches forming a canopy that blocks starlight and moonlight in places, creating pockets of deep shadow. Underfoot, the ground is uneven with roots and fallen leaves, muffling footsteps and adding to the sense of isolation. The wind moves through the trees with a haunting rustle, echoing across the water and blending with the subtle sounds of unseen wildlife. It is within this environment that the lake exerts its mysterious influence, transforming familiar landscapes into places of tension and heightened awareness. Mist often rises from the water, curling over the lake in thick, rolling layers. The fog can appear even on clear nights, obscuring vision and distorting distances. Shadows of trees, rocks, and the figures along the bank shift in the mist, sometimes appearing closer or farther than they truly are. This interplay of light, shadow, and fog amplifies the lake's disorienting effect, creating an atmosphere where perception is challenged and ordinary logic seems less reliable. The mist gives Ravenna's mirror a sense of depth and movement that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. Sounds around the lake take on an otherworldly quality after nightfall. Ripples across the water, the creaking of tree branches, and the occasional splash of a fish or fallen branch become amplified and distorted. Whispered voices are sometimes reported, faint and almost indiscernible, carried on the wind in ways that make it impossible to locate their source. Even those familiar with the lake describe a heightened sensitivity at night. A sense that every rustle, movement, and reflection carries significance beyond the ordinary. The combination of water, forest, and shadow at Ravenna's mirror creates a fully immersive environment. The lake's surface acts as a mirror, reflecting not only the surroundings but also the subtle movements of unseen forces. Shadows along the bank appear to move in response to human presence, and the fog magnifies every flicker of light or motion. Observers often report a tension that is both mental and physical. An instinctive awareness that the lake is not merely a natural feature, but a place where something watches and interacts with the living. Despite its reputation, Ravenna's mirror draws those seeking mystery and the thrill of the unknown. Visitors are captivated by its beauty, its quiet menace, and the way ordinary perception is challenged by the interplay of darkness, water, and shadow. The lake becomes a stage where imagination and reality intertwine, where the mundane actions of casting a line or walking along the shore can feel infused with meaning and danger. Every sighting, every tug on a fishing rod, every movement of a shadow adds to the legend and deepens the sense of a living presence within the environment. By dawn, the mist lifts and the lake returns to its daytime serenity. Shadows fade, the forest resumes its gentle sounds, and the water reflects the sky once more. Yet the memory of night remains with those who have experienced it, etched in their awareness and imagination. Raven's Mirror endures as a place where beauty and unease coexist, where the line between reality and the unexplained is blurred, and where those who venture close carry with them the memory of shadowy figures, sudden tugs, and the chilling sensation of being observed in the stillness of night. Black Pine Lake lies hidden within the dense forests of North Carolina, a quiet body of water that few dare approach after dark. The trees press close to the shore, their branches twisting overhead and blocking the moonlight, leaving the lake in a perpetual shadow. The air here is thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, carrying an eerie stillness that seems to settle over anyone who wanders too close. Visitors often speak of ghostly silhouettes reflected in the water. They appear at the edge of vision, pale and distorted, with faces that shift and ripple as if caught between worlds. These figures linger just long enough to be noticed, then vanish when observers turn their gaze directly toward them. The lake mirrors these fleeting images, creating a sense that the water itself remembers, holding echoes of moments no one living can fully comprehend. Sudden gusts of wind move through the trees, carrying with them faint whispers. They are unintelligible yet urgent, as if the voices are pleading or warning. The sound is barely audible over the rustle of leaves and the gentle lapping of water on the shore, yet it leaves a profound impression. A sense that the unseen presence of the forest and lake is communicating directly with those who listen closely. Black Pine Lake has long been the subject of local tales. People speak of travelers who have glimpsed figures walking along the water's edge, only to vanish as mist swirls between them and the shore. Some describe reflections in the water that do not match their own movements, eyes staring back from the surface where no one stands. The atmosphere is thick with tension, a blend of curiosity and unease that keeps most visitors at a cautious distance. The forest surrounding the lake amplifies every sound and movement. A ripple crosses the water without visible cause, and shadows shift where no source of light exists. These elements combine to create a space that feels alive, as if the lake and its surroundings are aware of each presence and adjust subtly to their presence. The mist that rises from the water at night adds to the effect, curling along the shoreline and transforming ordinary reflections into something uncanny. Travelers often describe a feeling of being watched, an unseen attention that follows their every step. The lake, with its dark surface and shifting reflections, reinforces the sensation. Even standing still, visitors sense movement just beyond perception, shapes that retreat when approached yet never fully disappear. The wind carries occasional chills that brush against skin, enhancing the impression of an invisible presence lingering nearby. The water itself seems to shift in response to the unseen. Reflections distort in impossible ways, forming faces and silhouettes that vanish upon closer inspection. Some report seeing figures move beneath the surface, shapes too indistinct to be clearly human, yet their presence is undeniable. It is as if the lake is a window into another dimension, a place where the boundary between the living and the unseen becomes fluid. Sounds from Black Pine Lake are both ordinary and inexplicable. The lapping of water against the shore blends seamlessly with whispers carried by the wind. Ripples form without visible cause, and sudden splashes echo across the water, leaving observers searching for a source that does not exist. These auditory cues, paired with visual phenomena, create an immersive experience where reality and the supernatural intersect, heightening the sense of mystery and unease. Time seems to behave differently here. The longer one stays near the water, the more pronounced the experiences become. Shadows deepen, the mist thickens, and the figures in the water appear more distinct. The whispers grow clearer, though their meaning remains elusive. And the reflections on the water seem to stretch and change, revealing glimpses of forms that are not quite of this world. Black Pine Lake is a place where curiosity and caution meet. Its dark, still waters conceal layers of history and memory. And the forest that surrounds it amplifies every sensation. And that it holds stories unwilling to be forgotten. The combination of mist, wind, shadows, and water creates an environment both captivating and unsettling. A space where the line between the seen and unseen is blurred. And where the presence of the unknown lingers long after leaving the shore. To witness Black Pine Lake is to encounter a living mystery. The silhouettes in the water. The distorted reflections. The sudden gusts of whispered wind. And the persistent sensation of being observed. Converge to create an atmosphere unlike any other. Those who venture here may leave with questions unanswered. With a heightened awareness of the unseen. And with a sense that the lake and its surrounding forest are places where the past and present coexist. Silent, watchful, and haunting. Wraith Lake lies hidden within a rugged canyon in California, a secluded body of water surrounded by steep cliffs that rise sharply from its edge. The canyon walls create a natural amphitheater, echoing sounds with an eerie clarity, and shadows stretch long across the lake as the sun moves through the sky. The water is dark and still, reflecting the cliffs and the sky above, yet beneath the surface there is a sense of depth that seems infinite, as though the lake holds secrets that time itself has forgotten. Over the years, Wraith Lake has earned a reputation for the unexplained. Climbers ascending the surrounding cliffs have vanished without a trace, and swimmers have entered the water only to disappear, leaving no evidence of struggle or escape. Local stories speak of sudden currents, unseen forces tugging at limbs, and the unsettling sensation that the lake itself is alive, watching and waiting. These accounts have grown into a pattern that has intrigued and frightened visitors for decades. Many who approach the lake report strange physical sensations. Unseen hands are said to pull at clothing, tugging at sleeves or ankles with a force that cannot be explained. The feeling is sudden and fleeting, like a warning or an invitation, leaving those affected with a chill that persists long after they leave the water's edge. It is not just a cold breeze or an ordinary tremor of fear, it is an unmistakable contact that speaks to the presence of something beneath the surface, something aware of those who come too close. Dark shapes beneath the water are another common phenomenon. Swimmers and observers alike describe shadows that move just beneath the surface. Visible only for a moment before vanishing. These glimpses are fleeting, often dismissed by reason, yet they leave a lasting impression. Reinforcing the belief that Wraith Lake is not merely a natural formation, but a space touched by forces beyond understanding. The cliffs surrounding the lake add to its isolation and tension. Jagged rocks rise sharply, forming natural walls that block the view of the surrounding landscape and create long, dark shadows as the day progresses. Even the wind carries an unsettling quality, rustling through sparse vegetation and rattling loose stones, a subtle reminder of the canyon's power and the precariousness of human presence. Visitors often remark on the lake's stillness, a deceptive calm that hides the underlying danger. The surface appears placid, reflecting the sky and cliffs in perfect clarity, yet beneath, the currents and shadows suggest movement and awareness. This contrast between surface tranquility and hidden activity creates a sense of tension that is almost tangible. Every step along the shore, every ripple on the water, becomes a point of heightened attention, as if the lake is measuring and responding to those who dare to enter its space. Even in daylight, the lake exudes a sense of mystery. Sunlight glints off the water and illuminates sections of the cliffs, yet the deeper parts of the canyon remain shaded, cloaked in a half-light that distorts perception. Reflections twist and shift with the wind, creating optical illusions that suggest movement where there is none. Swimmers have reported feeling as though something beneath them mirrors their own movements, a presence that mimics and observes, creating a profound sense of unease. As night falls, Wraith Lake transforms further. Darkness envelopes the canyon, muting colors and heightening shadows. The cliffs disappear into blackness. And the water loses its reflective surface, becoming a dark void that seems to stretch endlessly. Sounds carry differently at night. And the slightest noise is amplified. echoing across the canyon with an almost sentient quality. The air grows colder, denser. And the sense of being observed intensifies, creating an atmosphere that is immersive, charged, and impossible to ignore. The stories surrounding the lake reinforced the sensations experienced by visitors. Accounts of disappearances, sudden tugs, and dark shapes beneath the surface create a narrative that is as compelling as it is unsettling. Each encounter, each fleeting glimpse, adds to the legend of Wraith Lake, a body of water that holds the memory of those who have vanished and the presence of something unseen that continues to dwell within its depths. Wraith Lake endures as a place where nature and the unknown converge. Its cliffs, water, and shadows combine to create an environment that is both breathtaking and unnerving. The unseen hands, the dark shapes, and the echoes of past tragedies make it a space that is alive with mystery. Every visit is an exploration, a step into a canyon where the ordinary rules of the world seem suspended, and where the lake holds its secrets just beneath the surface, waiting for the next observer to notice, to feel, and perhaps to understand its hidden depths. To stand at the edge of Wraith Lake is to confront an experience unlike any other. The water, cliffs, and canyon come together to form a space where history, memory, and the unknown meet. Each ripple, each shadow, each tug beneath the water reminds visitors that the lake is not merely a landscape, but a living presence. Wraith Lake is a place of mystery, a natural formation imbued with stories, sensations, and the subtle reminder that some spaces are never truly empty, and some secrets are never fully revealed. Blood Moon Lake in Arizona sits at the edge of a vast desert, its waters now receded, leaving cracked mudflats and jagged stones exposed to the scorching sun. Once a vibrant oasis, the lake has long been a site of mystery and tragedy, where several drownings occurred under circumstances that remain unexplained. The desert wind carries a dry heat by day, but at night, an unsettling chill seems to settle over the sand and sparse vegetation. Locals tell of the lake under the glow of the full moon, when it appears to take on a deep red hue. The reflection stretches across the remaining water and pools of mud, bathing the surroundings in an eerie, almost otherworldly light. Shadows seem to stretch and move along the sand, as though unseen figures are pacing the shoreline. Travelers who venture close at night report an inexplicable sense of being watched, a weight pressing lightly on their shoulders or chest, though no one is there. The landscape itself is stark and haunting. The desert floor is broken into patterns of dried clay. Remnants of water channels that once carried life through the area. Low hills encircle the lake. Their silhouettes dark against the rising moon. The sparse cacti and scrub cast long, distorted shadows, making it difficult to discern what is natural and what might be something else entirely. Movement seems to occur at the edge of vision, leaving a sense that the past is reaching out from the very ground. Stories persist of figures appearing on the shore, especially on nights when the moon glows red. Travelers have described seeing silhouettes standing still, staring into the emptiness of the dry lakebed. When approached, these shapes vanish as if swallowed by the desert itself. Some insist that the spirits of those lost in the water linger here, drawn back to the place where their lives ended, unable or unwilling to move on. Their presence is felt more than seen, a quiet reminder that the Lakia's history has left its mark on the land. The atmosphere grows particularly dense near the old waterline. The sand shifts underfoot in unnatural patterns, and sudden gusts of wind carry sounds that seem to mimic human voices. Whispered calls, faint and fragmented, drift across the lakebed. Too quiet to be understood but enough to set the nerves on edge. Some visitors describe feeling cold currents brush against their legs and ankles, as though the water that once filled the lake continues to move invisibly, reaching out to anyone who dares to cross its threshold. Time seems altered around Blood Moon Lake. Hours can pass without notice, the night deepening more quickly than expected. Or a single step across the sand feeling like a journey through memory. The red glow of the moon intensifies the shadows, And every movementa an animal, the wind, or a shifting stonia can be perceived as a presence. The deserta's emptiness becomes a stage for the unseen, where memory and spirit converge in ways that are subtle yet unmistakable. History adds weight to the experience. Records tell of visitors who came to the lake seeking solitude, only to vanish mysteriously. Their fates never fully explained. Over time, these events became woven into local lore, each retelling adding to the Lakia's reputation as a place where the boundary between the living and the lost blurs. Even during daylight, when the red glow is absent, there is a heaviness in the air, a sense that the land itself remembers the lives claimed by the water and the desert. Explorers and travelers often describe physical sensations that reinforce the Lakia's eerie reputation. The air may turn abruptly cold, a stark contrast to the desert heat. Small ripples may appear on puddles or the remaining water without wind or disturbance. Unseen fingers brush against clothing, and the sensation of a presence standing close can provoke an instinctive urge to move quickly. These experiences are fleeting but vivid, leaving lasting impressions and a sense that the lake is not as empty as it seems. The combination of landscape, light, and history makes Blood Moon Lake a place of profound unease and fascination. The cracked mudflats, the faint waterline, and the surrounding desert all play a role in shaping perception, amplifying the sense that this is a site suspended between life and memory. Travelers who linger can feel the pull of the past, as if the lake itself is a mirror reflecting the events that unfolded here long ago. As night fades and the first light of dawn touches the sand, the red glow of the moon disappears, and the lake returns to its quiet, desolate state. The desert heat reasserts itself, the wind shifts, and the shadows retreat. Yet the memory of the night remains for those who witnessed it. The figures, the whispers, the cold currents, and the red-tinted reflections linger in the mind, a reminder that Blood Moon Lake is more than a dry desert basin. It is a place where history, tragedy, and lingering spirits converge, leaving an indelible mark on the land and on those who encounter it. Blood Moon Lake, Arizona endures as a testament to the power of memory and presence. Even as the water recedes and the desert reclaims the landscape, the stories, sensations, and unseen inhabitants remain. Every visit is an encounter with the echoes of lives once lost, with a place where the line between the living and the departed is thin, and where the moon, glowing red, continues to illuminate secrets that the desert will never fully reveal. Silent Waters lies nestled deep within the forests of Maine, a lake so still that its surface seems to suspend time itself. By day, sunlight dances across the water, reflecting the surrounding pines and birch trees, creating a picture of calm and tranquility. The gentle rustle of leaves and occasional calls of distant birds make it a haven for those seeking solitude and a connection to nature. Yet beneath this serenity lies an undercurrent of unease that becomes evident as the day wanes and night descends. The gentle rustle of leaves and occasional calls of distant birds make it a haven for those seeking solitude and a connection to nature. As evening approaches, a thick fog often rises from the lake, curling across the water and creeping toward the shore. Within this mist, shapes seem to move, indistinct and fleeting, sometimes appearing as human forms, other times merely as shadows with purpose. Travelers report figures standing at the water's edge, some waving as if in greeting, others reaching toward the land as though seeking something lost. The air grows colder, heavier, and the sensation of being observed becomes impossible to ignore. Sudden splashes are a common occurrence, startling in their abruptness and intensity. The sound is loud, echoing across the otherwise silent lake, yet no movement is visible on the surface. Those nearby often freeze, unsure whether to investigate or retreat. The splashes feel deliberate, as if the water itself is reacting to the presence of outsiders. Some say the lake is protective, guarding its mysteries and testing those who venture too close. Even experienced hikers and fishermen describe moments of heightened tension, an instinctive awareness that this is a place where the ordinary rules of nature are subtly altered. The shoreline of Silent Waters is narrow and uneven, dotted with rocks, roots, and fallen branches. Trees grow thickly along the edge, their twisted limbs casting intricate shadows that merge with the fog and the darkening sky. Every step toward the water requires careful attention, yet even the most cautious movement cannot eliminate the sense of vulnerability. Figures within the mist appear and vanish, their presence felt more than seen, and the interplay of light and shadow adds to the disorienting atmosphere. Visitors often report dizziness and a strange sense of disorientation as they approach the water. The lake seems to resist intrusion, pulling subtly at the senses, warping perception, and creating an uncanny sensation of imbalance. Some feel as though the shoreline stretches farther than it should, or that familiar landmarks shift positions in the fog. It is an environment where the mind becomes acutely aware of every sound, every ripple, every movement in the mist, magnifying both fear and fascination. Whispers and soft, indistinct sounds are sometimes carried across the lake by the wind. These are fleeting and impossible to locate, creating the impression that the water itself communicates in a language beyond understanding. Combined with the sudden splashes and the shadowy figures, the effect is a heightened awareness that the lake is more than just a body of water. It is an entity, enigmatic and patient, existing on the edge of the natural and the unexplained. The fog has a transformative effect on Silent Waters. Trees and rocks, familiar in daylight, become otherworldly in the mist. Shadows appear longer, deeper, and often seem to shift with intention. Figures at the edge of perception emerge from the fog, sometimes stationary, sometimes moving with deliberate, fluid motion. Observers report an unsettling combination of curiosity and dread, compelled to look yet wary of what might be revealed. Even from a distance, the lake exerts its presence. The fog drifts across the water in rolling waves, curling into the forest and drawing the eye toward the hidden figures along the shore. The sounds of splashes and whispers mingle with the natural ambience, creating a layered experience that engages both sight and hearing. For those who linger, time seems to stretch, each moment dense with anticipation and the feeling of being on the threshold of something unknown. Despite its mysterious nature, Silent Waters draws those intrigued by the unknown. Explorers, photographers, and adventurers come seeking beauty, history, and the thrill of encountering the unexplained. Yet the lake maintains its secrets, offering glimpses of figures in black, the tug of water against rods that catch no fish, and the fog that hides more than it reveals. Each visit leaves an impression, a lingering memory of still waters that are anything but silent. By dawn, the fog lifts and the lake returns to its calm daytime state. Shadows vanish, the mysterious figures disappear. The air lightens with the first rays of sunlight. Yet the memory of night remains, carried in the minds of those who experienced it. Silent Waters endures as a place where beauty and unease coexist. Where the senses are heightened. And where every ripple, shadow, and whisper serves as a reminder that the natural world can hold secrets beyond human understanding. The lake remains patient, watching and waiting. A quiet sentinel of mystery in the heart of Maine's forest. Forgotten Lake sits high in the Colorado mountains, isolated and surrounded by jagged peaks that block the sun in late afternoon. The air is crisp and carries the scent of pine and wet earth. But there is a heaviness to it, a quiet tension that settles over anyone who approaches. Trails leading to the lake are narrow and winding, often disappearing into dense underbrush, making the journey feel like stepping into another world. The water of Forgotten Lake is icy cold, even in the height of summer. Its surface is perfectly still, reflecting the surrounding peaks like a glass mirror, yet beneath that surface lies a chilling history. Campers who have set up near the shore sometimes vanish without explanation, leaving tents and personal belongings behind as if they were never there. The lake seems to swallow them, though how or why remains a mystery. Visitors report strange auditory phenomena. The laughter of children echoes across the water in the quiet of early evening. It is light and innocent at first, but it abruptly stops, leaving an unsettling silence that hangs over the lake. Some have followed the sound, hoping to find its source, only to discover that it vanishes the moment they approach, leaving no trace of its origin. Shadowy figures appear at the edge of the treeline. They are tall and indistinct, their forms never fully revealed even when closely observed. They move slowly, sometimes stopping as if watching, and then melt back into the forest. Campers and hikers describe a persistent sense of being observed, as if the lake and the surrounding woods are alive and aware of every movement. The mist that rises off the water in the morning enhances the eerie atmosphere. It curls along the shoreline and drifts through the trees, creating shapes that suggest human forms. Sunlight filtering through the mist can make these figures appear more solid than they are. What they see is fleeting, leaving behind a lingering doubt about what is real and what is imagined. Footsteps echo across the forest floor when no one else is present. Sometimes they seem to follow, keeping pace with campers, only to stop suddenly when investigated. The Lochia's reflection changes subtly with these occurrences, the water appearing darker, more opaque, as if hiding secrets just below the surface. Even the wind seems to carry voices, faint and impossible to interpret, speaking directly to those who are willing to listen. Travelers describe an unsettling sensation when near the water. A sudden chill often passes through the area, sharp and penetrating, unlike ordinary mountain cold. The effect is amplified when one stands at the Lochia's edge, where the water laps gently against rocks and pebbles. This cold feels purposeful, as if the lake itself is warning visitors to stay away, or perhaps to prepare them for what lingers unseen. The surrounding forest amplifies every sound and shadow. A bird's call echoes unnaturally. The rustling of leaves can resemble footsteps or whispered words. Trees sway in patterns that create shapes in the mist, sometimes resembling figures moving silently. Visitors find it difficult to determine the distance of objects or people, as perception seems distorted, leaving them disoriented and uneasy. The Lochia's history is shrouded in speculation. Locals speak of it as a place that holds on to those who venture too far, as though the water itself remembers every person who has gone missing. Some suggest that the shadowy figures are the remnants of these lost travelers, forever bound to the lake and forest. Others believe the sounds of children and whispers are echoes of past events, replaying endlessly for anyone who dares to witness them. Despite its beauty, Forgotten Lake carries a persistent warning. The still water, the icy chill, the mist curling over the shoreline, and the shadows lurking at the treeline combine to create an environment where reality feels suspended. Every sensation is heightened, from the smallest sound to the faintest movement, creating a cinematic tension that keeps visitors alert and wary. Those who spend the night near the lake often report strange dreams, vivid and unsettling, featuring glimpses of the water and the figures that inhabit its edges. Upon waking, they feel the presence lingering, a subtle pressure that does not fully leave even after they have hiked away. The lake's influence seems to extend beyond its physical borders, embedding itself in memory and perception. Forgotten Lake is not a place easily understood. It is a convergence of natural beauty and unexplainable phenomena. A high mountain lake that reflects more than the surrounding peaks. The laughter, the shadows, the whispers, and the icy water create an atmosphere charged with mystery and unease. Every visit becomes a personal encounter with the unknown, a brush with the unexplained that leaves a lasting impression long after the forest and lake are behind. To witness Forgotten Lake is to enter a space suspended between the familiar and the extraordinary. Every ripple in the water, every gust of wind, and every fleeting shadow reinforces the sense that the lake remembers. Campers, hikers, and travelers leave with stories that are difficult to articulate, impressions that linger in the mind, and a heightened awareness of the unseen. It is a place that invites curiosity while demanding caution, a lake where the ordinary and the supernatural coexist in haunting equilibrium. Devila's Hollow Lake lies nestled among steep cliffs in the rugged terrain of West Virginia. The water is dark and still, reflecting the jagged rock walls that rise abruptly from its edges. The cliffs cast long shadows across the surface, even in daylight, and the forest surrounding the lake is dense and silent, broken only by the occasional cry of a bird. The lake has long been associated with danger, and its reputation has grown over generations through stories of sudden whirlpools and unexplained disappearances. Swimmers and visitors have reported sudden whirlpools forming without warning, spinning water in tight, violent circles that seem to arise from nowhere. These whirlpools appear and vanish almost as quickly as they form, yet their power is undeniable. Boats caught in them can be tossed, and swimmers are pulled under with a force that leaves no trace behind. Many who venture into the water do so at their own risk, aware that even a calm day can transform into a perilous encounter in an instant. The lake has claimed numerous lives, some bodies never recovered. The sheer cliffs that surround Devil's Hollow Lake make escape difficult, and currents can sweep those who underestimate the water into hidden depths. Local accounts tell of friends and families witnessing loved ones vanish suddenly, leaving only ripples on the surface as evidence. These disappearances have contributed to the eerie aura of the lake, making it a place both feared and revered by those who live nearby. Visitors describe unsettling sensations while in or near the water. Some have felt fingers brush their feet while swimming, fleeting touches that cannot be explained by wind, waves, or aquatic creatures. The feeling is sudden and chilling, creating a sense that something unseen lingers just beneath the surface, observing and interacting with those who enter the lake. The effect is subtle but persistent, leaving swimmers wary and alert, unsure of what is real and what is imagined. Glowing eyes beneath the water have been reported by many who venture to Devila's Hollow Lake. These luminous orbs are fleeting, appearing just long enough to provoke fear, then disappearing into the darkness below. Some observers describe the eyes as watching, following, as if the lake itself harbors entities with awareness and intent. Even those who do not see the eyes often feel their presence, a heavy, almost tangible sensation that adds to the tension of being at the water's edge. The cliffs and surrounding forest contribute to the lake's ominous atmosphere. The steep walls echo every sound, amplifying splashes, cries, or whispers carried by the wind. Trees crowd the shoreline, their branches casting long shadows over the water. Fallen rocks create jagged patterns that add to the sense of danger. Every step near the lake is measured, every movement observed, and the combination of natural beauty and hidden peril creates a space that is both captivating and unsettling. Even in daylight, Devil's Hollow Lake maintains its mysterious presence. Ripples across the water can suggest movement where there is none. And the reflections of the cliffs and trees twist with the wind, creating distorted shapes that appear to shift and move independently. Shadows fall in unpredictable patterns, and the interplay of light and darkness can make familiar objects seem alien. The lake's surface is deceptively calm, hiding currents and whirlpools that emerge without warning, reminding visitors of its power and unpredictability. As night falls, the lake transforms into an even more formidable presence. Darkness envelopes the cliffs and forest, and the water becomes an impenetrable black mirror. Sounds carry differently at night, the echo of distant wildlife, the rustling of leaves, or the splash of water amplified by the surrounding canyon. The feeling of being watched intensifies, and the unseen touches and glowing eyes become more unsettling in the low light. Visitors report a heightened awareness, every movement and sound magnified, every shadow suggesting the presence of something hidden. The stories surrounding Devil's Hollow Lake enhance its enigmatic nature. Accounts of sudden whirlpools, unseen touches, and glowing eyes weave together with the documented disappearances. Each experience reinforces the sense that the lake is a space where ordinary rules of nature are suspended. A place where the water holds memory and presence in equal measure. Those who visit carry the experience with them, often questioning what they have seen and felt. Each experience reinforces the sense that the lake is a space where ordinary rules of nature are suspended, a place where the water holds memory and presence in equal measure. Devila's Hollow Lake endures as a place of natural beauty and profound mystery. The cliffs, water, and surrounding forest create an environment that is immersive, tense, and unforgettable. The whirlpools, glowing eyes, and fleeting touches remind visitors that the lake is not merely a location but a presence, one that observes and interacts in subtle, unsettling ways. To stand at the edge of Devila's Hollow Lake is to confront the unknown, to feel the weight of history, and to acknowledge that some waters hide more than depth, holding secrets that may never be fully revealed. Every ripple across the surface, every shadow along the cliffs, and every whisper carried by the wind speaks to the lake's enduring mystery. Devila's Hollow Lake is a space where danger and beauty coexist, where the ordinary and the unexplainable meet. It is a place that demands respect and caution, and those who visit are forever marked by the sense that beneath the still, dark surface, the lake watches, waits, and remembers all who have dared to enter its depths. Moonlit Echo Lake in Vermont rests quietly during the day, its surface smooth and reflective, mirroring the green slopes and forests that surround it. The water is clear, and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore creates a sense of calm. Fishermen and hikers frequent the area, drawn by its natural beauty and tranquility. Yet, as the sun sets and the moon rises, the lake transforms into a realm far removed from its daytime serenity. Under the pale light of the moon, the surface of the lake seems to shimmer with an unnatural glow. Shadows along the shoreline shift and bend, creating the impression of movement where none should exist. Visitors who linger near the water often feel a presence, subtle but persistent, as if unseen eyes are observing every step. Those who pause long enough sometimes catch glimpses of figures that appear ghostly, standing just beyond the reach of light, their movements mirroring the motions of those nearby in quiet, deliberate reflection. The effect is heightened by the forest that encloses the lake. Trees rise tall and dark, their branches forming intricate patterns against the night sky. The moonlight filters through the canopy, casting shifting pools of illumination that play tricks on perception. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig seems amplified, reinforcing the sense that the lake and its surroundings are alive with unseen inhabitants. The air carries a chill, heavier near the water, as if the lake itself exhales a quiet, watchful breath. The air carries a chill, heavier near the water, as if the lake itself exhales a quiet, watchful breath. Many visitors recount hearing sounds that defy explanation. Gentle splashes rise from the depths even when the surface is still. Soft voices drift across the lake, too distant to comprehend fully, yet unmistakably human in tone. These conversations seem to come from beneath the water, as if the spirits of those lost or long departed continue to exist just out of reach, their lives echoing in the ripples and reflections of the lake. The effect is both haunting and mesmerizing, leaving a lingering impression of a world overlapping the one visible to the eye. The shoreline holds its own mysteries. Rocks and driftwood appear shifted from their previous positions, as though moved by invisible hands. Mist often rises from the water, thickening around trees and obscuring vision. Within this haze, the ghostly figures appear and vanish without warning, sometimes moving toward visitors, other times retreating into the shadows. The presence is subtle, never overtly threatening, but the sensations of being watched or followed are enough to make the heart quicken. Time seems altered at Moonlit Echo Lake. Minutes can pass unnoticed, or a short walk can feel like hours. Visitors report sensations of vertigo or disorientation, as if the lake warps perception, bending both light and sound. The mirrored movements of the ghostly figures add to this unsettling effect, creating an impression that the lake is observing and responding to those who enter its space. The boundary between reality and reflection blurs, making it difficult to discern what is solid and what is spectral. Visitors are left questioning their own perceptions and sanity. Historical accounts hint at the origins of the lake's spectral activity. Long ago, communities settled along its shores, using the water for fishing, travel, and recreation. Stories passed down through generations tell of accidents, disappearances, and untimely deaths that occurred on or near the lake. The lingering impressions of these lives seem to have imprinted upon the water, leaving behind echoes that surface when the conditions are right. Every ripple, every glint of moonlight across the waves, carries a memory, a fragment of existence that refuses to fade. Visitors often describe physical sensations that accompany the visual phenomena. A sudden chill along the arms or legs, a gentle pressure at the back of the neck, or the sensation of being lightly touched without cause can. The sensation of being lightly touched without cause can make the experience tangible. Even the sounds from beneath the water carry weight, drawing the listener's attention and stirring a sense of empathy or unease. These subtle interactions heighten the feeling that Moonlit Echo Lake is a living memory, a place where the past persists in quiet dialogue with the present. A living memory, a place where the past persists in quiet dialogue with the present. A place where the past persists in quiet dialogue with the present. In quiet dialogue with the present. With the present. The interplay of light, water, and forest creates moments of breathtaking beauty alongside the eerie sensations. Moonlight glances off the ripples, casting elongated shadows across sand and stone. Trees frame the lake in shifting silhouettes, their reflections dancing alongside the ghostly figures. Every movement of the wind or water seems amplified, creating a dynamic, almost cinematic scene that is as compelling as it is unsettling. The lake becomes a stage, and those who witness its transformations are both audience and participant in a story that stretches beyond the confines of time. As dawn approaches, the figures fade, the whispers subside, and the moonlight gives way to the warm glow of morning. The lake returns to its daytime tranquility, serene and reflective, its spectral echoes hidden once more beneath the surface. Yet those who have experienced the night remain aware of the dual nature of this place. Moonlit Echo Lake is not merely a body of water. It is a threshold between worlds, a space where the living encounter the memories and spirits of those who came before. A place where reflection and reality intertwine under the quiet glow of the moon. Moonlit Echo Lake, Vermont endures as a site of mystery and subtle wonder. Every visit under the moonlight offers a glimpse into a hidden dimension, where the past lingers and echoes carry on the wind. The serene waters by day hold secrets by night, inviting the curious to witness a world that exists alongside our own. Quiet, spectral, and profoundly compelling. Darkwater Lake lies deep within the forests of northern Wisconsin. A vast body of water whose still surface conceals stories of fear and mystery. By day, the lake appears serene, surrounded by dense pine and maple trees that cast their reflections upon the dark water. The occasional ripple from a fish breaking the surface, or the movement of a gentle breeze adds life to the scene, creating a sense of calm and timelessness. Yet beneath this peaceful exterior, Darkwater Lake has earned a reputation that keeps many visitors at bay, particularly after the sun sets. Locals speak in hushed tones about the Lochia's history, recounting tales of fishermen who vanished without a trace. Boats set out in the early evening, only to be found empty the next morning, their occupants never seen again. Some claim the water itself is cursed, a deep, unseen force that drags those who venture too far from shore into its cold, dark depths. The fear is not rooted solely in superstition. Generations of whispered warnings have built a legacy of caution that resonates through the surrounding forest communities. Nightfall transforms the lake into a place of unease. The water becomes black and reflective, mirroring only the silhouettes of the trees and the faint light of the moon. Fog frequently rises, curling across the surface in rolling waves, blurring the boundaries between water and forest. Within this mist, shapes seem to move that cannot be explained, shadows that vanish when approached. Those brave enough to fish at night report feeling watched, a subtle tension that grows with each passing hour. One of the most unsettling experiences reported by visitors is the sound of boats moving across the lake, though none are visible. Rowing noises, the creak of wood, and splashes echo across the water, originating from points where no vessel exists. The sounds can approach and recede, giving the impression of a silent pursuit. Some say these phantom boats carry the spirits of those who vanished long ago, endlessly circling the lake in a spectral repetition of their final moments. The auditory phenomena leave a lasting impression, creating a blend of fear and fascination that lingers long after the sounds fade. The lake's shoreline is both inviting and foreboding. Rocks and sand meet the water in some places, while thick reeds and fallen trees line other sections. Concealing sudden drops into deep water. Fog and shadows accentuate the natural obstacles, making navigation tricky and increasing the sense of vulnerability. Each step toward the water is accompanied by heightened awareness, the mind alert to the subtlest movements and sounds. Even experienced outdoorsmen report moments of confusion, dizziness, and a sense that the landscape shifts unexpectedly in the presence of the lake's influence. Darkwater Lake has an unsettling way of distorting perception. Ripples on the water can appear as figures moving beneath the surface, and reflections can twist into unfamiliar shapes. The forest surrounding the lake enhances this effect, with branches and leaves creating patterns that mimic motion in the dim light. Visitors often describe a sensation that the lake is alive, responding to their presence, watching, and occasionally testing their courage. It is an environment where imagination and reality intertwine, leaving those who linger with a lingering sense of unease. The stillness of the water contrasts sharply with the sudden disturbances that can occur without warning. A splash in the middle of the lake. A faint shout carried on the wind. Or the brief appearance of a dark figure can disrupt even the calmest observer. These moments are fleeting but powerful, leaving a lasting imprint on those who witness them. Many choose to leave the lake quickly, sensing that prolonged exposure might invite further encounters with the unknown. Despite its reputation, Darkwater Lake continues to attract the curious. Photographers, hikers, and paranormal enthusiasts venture to its shores, drawn by the allure of mystery and the challenge of confronting the unexplained. Each visit adds another layer to the lake's legend, as eyewitness accounts accumulate and stories are passed from one generation to the next. Yet the lake maintains its secrets, never revealing its depths fully, keeping the vanished and the unexplained hidden beneath its surface. As dawn approaches, the fog dissipates. The water returns to its reflective calm. The haunting sounds fade. The spectral shapes vanish. And the lake once again appears serene. But the memory of night at Darkwater Lake remains, etched into the minds of those who have witnessed its peculiar phenomena. The feeling of being watched, and the chilling knowledge of past disappearances, linger long after visitors leave the shore. Darkwater Lake endures as a place where nature and mystery coexist, where beauty masks danger, and where every ripple, shadow, and sound tells a story of lives interrupted and mysteries unresolved. It is a lake that demands respect, caution, and awe, a silent sentinel of the unknown nestled deep in the forests of Wisconsin, waiting for those willing to glimpse its secrets while never revealing them completely. Gloom Lake lies deep within the forests of Minnesota. The air is thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles, carrying a heavy stillness that seems to press against anyone who ventures near. Trails to the lake are narrow and winding, disappearing into dense undergrowth. And those who walk them quickly feel the isolation pressing in. Fog rises suddenly from the lake, rolling across the surface and creeping along the shoreline. Within the mist, travelers report glimpsing shadowy forms moving among the trees. The forest and lake together create an environment that feels alive, watching, and unwelcoming to intruders. Visitors often speak of sudden chills and cold hands brushing against their arms. It is an inexplicable sensation, startling in its intensity, leaving the skin prickling and the mind alert. Whispers seem to rise from the fog, calling names in tones that are faint but insistent. No one else is present, yet the voices feel intimate, directed personally at those who listen, as if the lake and forest are aware of every step taken along the shoreline. The water of Gloom Lake itself is dark and still, reflecting the mist and the trees in perfect detail. On calm days, the surface appears almost mirror-like. But it can shift abruptly, disturbed by movements that have no visible source. Some visitors claim to see figures just beneath the water. Their shapes vague and constantly shifting, leaving an unsettling impression that something is watching from below. The surrounding forest amplifies every sound. A snapped branch echoes unnaturally. Leaves rustle as if footsteps pass over them. And occasional distant noises take on the quality of whispers or laughter. And the landscape warping subtly in the mist. Even standing still there is the feeling of being observed. Time near Gloom Lake seems altered. The longer one stays, the heavier the atmosphere becomes. Shadows stretch and distort, the fog thickens, and fleeting shapes appear more defined. The whispers grow in frequency, sometimes seeming to come from the tree-line, other times from the water itself. Visitors report a heightened awareness, as if every sensation is magnified and every movement scrutinized by unseen eyes. The lake has a history of unexplained disappearances. Locals speak quietly of hikers and campers who entered the forest and were never seen again. Some left behind belongings, tents, or personal items, never to be retrieved. The phenomenon has given rise to speculation that the lake and surrounding woods are selective, revealing their presence only to those willing to notice, and claiming others without warning. Mist and fog play tricks on the eyes. Visitors frequently report seeing movement where none exists, silhouettes that appear and vanish, and reflections in the water that do not match their own forms. The effect is subtle but persistent, leaving a sense of unease that grows with time spent near the shoreline. Even the breeze carries shapes and sounds, brushing across the skin like unseen hands and reinforcing the impression that the forest and lake are alive with hidden intelligence. Those who linger near Gloom Lake at dusk describe a world transformed. Colors fade, shadows deepen, and the mist thickens, curling around trees and rocks like a living entity. The sounds of the forest blend with the whispers, laughter, and faint splashes of water, creating an immersive sensory experience that is both captivating and disconcerting. Every step along the shore feels observed, every glance at the water suggests movement just beyond perception, and every rustle of leaves hints at hidden watchers. Gloom Lake is a place where the ordinary and the unknown coexist. Its dark waters, encroaching fog, and silent pines combine to form an environment where reality feels suspended. The experiences reported by travelers as shadowy figures, cold touches, whispers, and unexplained movementa contribute to a sense of mystery that lingers long after leaving. The lake does not give its secrets easily, and those who approach must navigate both the natural beauty and the intangible tension that defines it. To visit Gloom Lake is to enter a space both mesmerizing and unsettling. The forest, the fog, the water, and the shadows interact to create an atmosphere that demands attention and respect. Every ripple in the water, every sound in the mist, and every fleeting figure reinforces the sense that the lake watches and remembers. Travelers leave with impressions that are difficult to articulate, a heightened awareness of the unseen, and the knowledge that some places hold stories that refuse to be forgotten. Gloom Lake stands as a testament to the power of isolation and mystery. Its dense woods, rolling fog, and dark waters combine to create a cinematic, almost otherworldly experience. The whispers, shadows, and cold touches become part of the environment, transforming a simple visit into an encounter with the unknown. Those who venture here are forever changed, carrying with them the weight of a place that exists in the liminal space between the familiar and the unexplained. A lake that is alive with memory, presence, and quiet menace. Whispering Lake lies deep in the heart of Louisiana, a bayou lake cradled by swampy forests, where cypress and willow trees twist over the water. The fog rises in slow, rolling waves, curling among the branches and obscuring the shoreline. The air is thick with moisture, carrying the earthy scent of damp wood and wet leaves. The surface of the lake reflects this murky world, dark and still, broken only by occasional ripples that appear without wind or rain, hinting at movements beneath the water that are unseen and unexplained. Visitors to Whispering Lake often speak of figures appearing in the fog. Shapes materialize near the water's edge or among the trees, indistinct at first. Like shadows made solid, they remain for moments that stretch uncomfortably long, then vanish when approached, leaving only the mist in their place. The effect is disorienting and eerie, as if the lake itself plays with perception, creating forms that are almost real, yet entirely unreachable. Visitors to Whispering Lake often speak of figures appearing in the fog. Many who linger along the shoreline report hearing their names whispered across the water. The sound is soft, carried just beyond understanding, blending with the natural ambient noises of the swamp. It seems to come from nowhere, and yet it feels personal, as though the lake has singled out the listener. Those who hear these whispers describe a simultaneous pull of fear and fascination, drawn to the voice yet hesitant to follow it. The phenomenon has made Whispering Lake a place of both intrigue and caution for travelers seeking the unusual. The swamp surrounding the lake adds to its mystique. Trees lean heavily over the water, their roots exposed and twisted, creating natural archways and shadowed spaces. The fog weaves through these arches, thickening near the surface and curling around each trunk. Sounds are amplified in the swamp, footsteps crunching on damp leaves echoing unnaturally, and the movement of water or small animals creating an illusion of presence. Every sensory detail contributes to the feeling that the lake and forest are alive, observing, and responding to anyone who ventures close. Ripples on the Lakia's surface are a frequent source of unease. They appear with no discernible cause, forming concentric circles that expand and fade without wind, rain, or disturbance. Observers often feel the sensation of being watched as these ripples spread. And some swear the water itself reaches outward, testing their awareness. The combination of these unexplained movements with whispers and fog creates an environment in which reality feels fluid, where ordinary perception cannot be trusted. The fog and shadows transform the lake throughout the day. The mist rises with the sun, softening shapes and creating a luminous, ethereal landscape. Afternoon light pierces through gaps in the trees, revealing details of moss-covered roots and the dark water. Yet still the lake retains its sense of secrecy. At night, the darkness thickens, and shapes in the fog are harder to distinguish. The whispers become more pronounced, or so it seems, as if the lake and its surroundings are more aware in the absence of sunlight. Whispering Lake is a place that encourages caution and attentiveness. Every step along the banks is measured, and every sound and movement is scrutinized. The occasional glimpses of figures in the fog, combined with the mysterious ripples and whispers, leave an impression of a world layered over our own, where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural feel thin. Visitors often speak of an oppressive atmosphere that is heavy yet compelling, a mixture of wonder and apprehension that persists long after leaving the lake. Local lore has grown around the lake, stories passed down of people who ventured too close to the water. Of people who ventured too close to the water and felt inexplicable touches or vanished momentarily, only to reappear without memory of what had happened. These accounts, while anecdotal, reinforce the Lakia's reputation as a site where the ordinary rules of the world are suspended. Every visitor brings a new story, a new encounter that adds to the mystery and aura surrounding Whispering Lake. These accounts, while anecdotal, reinforce the Lakia's reputation as a site where the ordinary rules of the world are suspended. Every visitor brings a new story, a new encounter that adds to the mystery and aura surrounding Whispering Lake. The natural beauty of the area is undeniable. Sunlight glimmers on the water. Birds call in the trees. And the forest teems with life. Yet, for all its allure, there is an ever-present tension. A sense that the lake and its surrounding swamp harbor secrets that are not meant to be fully understood. The interaction between the water, fog, shadows, and sound creates a dynamic environment, where every visit can offer a new and unpredictable experience. Whispering Lake endures as a place where the environment feels alive, where unseen forces seem to interact with those who enter its space. Figures in the fog, whispers across the water, and mysterious ripples all contribute to an atmosphere charged with mystery. The lake invites exploration and observation while demanding respect, reminding visitors that some places are touched by forces beyond comprehension, and that nature itself can hold secrets that linger in silence and mist. To stand at the edge of Whispering Lake is to step into a world where perception is tested, where the familiar becomes strange, and where the whispers of the bayou hint at stories untold. Each visit leaves an impression, a memory of fog, shadow, and water that will not easily fade. The lake continues to watch and respond, a living presence in the heart of Louisiana, ensuring that those who experience it never truly forget the haunting beauty and subtle menace of its waters. Phantom Lake lies quietly in Michigan, its surface smooth and dark, reflecting the dense forest that surrounds it. At first glance, it appears serene, a perfect destination for campers and fishermen seeking solitude. Yet beneath its calm exterior, stories persist, tales passed from generation to generation about unexplained disappearances and strange sightings that haunt the waters. For decades, campers have vanished near its shores. Hikers and fishermen recount entering the area with companions, only to return to find someone missing. The lake reflecting no hint of struggle or explanation. Visitors often describe the lake itself as unnatural. Its surface sometimes glows faintly at night, subtle, eerie, as though lit from below. Shapes are said to move just beneath the water, indistinct forms that seem aware of being watched. Some claim these figures emerge and submerge slowly, never revealing their full form, yet their presence is undeniable, leaving an unshakable sense of being observed. At times, the lake seems to mimic human features. Ripples rise in patterns that resemble faces, eyes forming briefly before the water smooths itself once more. Campers and visitors alike speak of staring, mesmerized, only to watch the shapes dissolve as if they were never there. The surrounding forest contributes to the Lakia's otherworldly atmosphere. Tall pines and maples close in around the water, muting sound and casting long shadows. Even during the day, the area feels isolated, a place where time slows, and the normal rules of nature seem suspended. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying faint echoes that cannot be traced. Sounds that resemble distant voices or laughter. Many report strange sensations near the water's edge. The temperature shifts suddenly, a chill brushing over bare skin even on warm days. Some feel an invisible presence pressing close, an unexplainable weight that follows them as they walk along the shoreline. Footsteps that do not belong to anyone accompany them, appearing to circle and retreat in the sand. The forest and lake together create an environment that feels alive, aware, and attentive to intruders. Nighttime intensifies the lake's mysteries. The mist thickens, and the surface becomes nearly opaque, reflecting nothing and everything at once. Faint glows under the water appear more frequently. Some say as if the lake itself breathes. Shadows flicker, distorted by waves, forming figures that vanish when approached. Campers have reported hearing splashes without explanation. Calls from friends who are no longer present. and faint whispers that seem to rise from the water itself. The stories of lost campers have become legend. Hikers passing near the water sometimes see flickering lights far across the lake, never identifying a source. Tent sites once abandoned are later found intact, with signs that someone or something had moved through, but no footprints or traces of a person exist. It is as if the lake absorbs the presence of those who linger too long, leaving behind only the sense of absence and the echo of memory. Leaving behind only the sense of absence and the echo of memory. Locals speak cautiously of Phantom Lake. They warn outsiders to respect the waters, to stay near the shore, and never to enter the lake at night. Stories recount sightings of figures in old clothing, standing in the water, observing silently before dissolving into the depths. Others describe glimmers on the surface that mimic human movements, a reflection of life that is not alive. These warnings carry weight, as the lake's reputation has grown over decades without a single clear explanation. The environment amplifies the sensation of mystery. Birds are unusually silent, leaving an eerie quiet. The water lapping against the shore sounds softer, almost deliberate, as if the lake itself is listening. Those who linger report a feeling of being watched constantly, a quiet unease that intensifies as the sun sets and the shadows lengthen. The sun sets and the shadows lengthen. Some researchers and enthusiasts have attempted to explain the phenomena through natural causes. Mist, phosphorescent algae, and optical illusions are often cited. Yet these explanations rarely account for the consistency of reports, the disappearances, or the fleeting shapes that appear and vanish before any human can approach. Phantom Lake retains its secrets, a place where logic falters and the unexplained dominates perception. They describe a sensation of having glimpsed another world, a place where water and shadow intertwine. Leave a lasting impression, haunting dreams and thoughts long after leaving the lake. Phantom Lake is more than a body of water. It is a presence, a living memory of the unknown. It holds the echoes of those who have disappeared. And the reflections of those who dare to look too closely. The surface may appear calm, yet beneath, it moves with a quiet intelligence. A subtle awareness that makes even the bravest pause. The lake continues to draw the curious, the adventurous, and the skeptical. Time passes, seasons change, and the forest endures. But Phantom Lake remains, a mirror of the strange and inexplicable. Inviting those who come near to witness, to wonder. And to never truly leave its presence behind. Phantom Lake reminds us that some places hold more than scenery, more than water. They preserve mystery, memory, and the unexplained. It is a place where shadows breathe, ripples speak. And the past lingers just beneath the surface. Visible only to those willing to see. And to those who may vanish themselves into the quiet depths of the unknown. Bloodline Lake rests quietly in the heart of Illinois, its placid waters belying a dark and turbulent past. Formed near the site of a historic battlefield, the lake holds stories that ripple beneath its surface, lingering in the mist that often rises at dusk. By day, sunlight sparkles across the water, drawing visitors with its serene beauty. But as evening falls, the atmosphere shifts, and the lake reveals a more ominous presence. The surrounding forest grows thick and shadowed, with ancient oaks and maples lining the shoreline. Their branches stretch over the water, creating dark reflections that mingle with the gentle ripples. Even in daylight, the forest carries a weight, a sense of history that seems embedded in every tree and stone. As night descends, fog often drifts across the lake, curling like smoke and obscuring the far shore. Within this fog, shapes can be seen moving, subtle and fleeting, as if the past itself has come to wander once more. Witnesses report seeing figures in period clothing along the lake's edge. Men in faded uniforms, women in long dresses, their movements deliberate yet ethereal. Their presence is undeniable, a haunting echo of lives once intertwined with the land. Those who watch them often feel an overwhelming mix of awe and unease. As if history has been set in motion again, playing out silently before their eyes. The figures do not approach, yet their presence is undeniable. A haunting echo of lives once intertwined with the land. Those who watch them often feel an overwhelming mix of awe and unease. As if history has been set in motion again, playing out silently before their eyes. The figures do not approach, yet their presence is undeniable, a haunting echo of lives once intertwined with the land. Whispers are carried across the water on still nights, soft and indistinct at first, then growing in clarity. Commands barked in authority, cries of anguish, the shuffle of boots on soil and stonia all drift across the lake. Commands barked in authority, cries of anguish, the shuffle of boots on soil and stonia all drift across the lake, unseen but impossible to ignore. The sounds seem to come from everywhere and nowhere, surrounding those who linger, pulling them into the atmosphere of the past. Visitors often describe a shiver running through their bodies, a sense that the lake remembers and is unwilling to let go. Visitors often describe a shiver running through their bodies, a sense that the lake remembers and is unwilling to let go. Bloodline Lake has claimed its share of lives over the years, often in mysterious circumstances. Sudden drownings have occurred, sometimes in calm conditions, leaving families and local authorities puzzled. Many speculate that the water itself carries a memory, an echo of the violence and loss that once occurred nearby. Those who have survived encounters with the Lokia's inexplicable phenomena often speak of an unshakable feeling of being watched. A weight presses from the fog and shadows that is impossible to explain logically. The shoreline is uneven and lined with hidden hazards. Shadows shift unnaturally in the fog. And reflections on the water sometimes reveal figures that do not exist along the shore. Many visitors report a disorienting sense of space, as if the lake stretches farther than its physical boundaries, drawing the unwary toward its center. A disorienting sense of space as if the lake stretches farther than its physical boundaries, drawing the unwary toward its center. Night on Bloodline Lake is both captivating and unnerving. The mist rises, the wind whispers through the trees. And the water mirrors the faint glow of the moon. Figures in period attire appear more vividly under this light. Their motions almost ritualistic, repeating gestures that suggest unfinished business. Whispers float across the water, sometimes forming words, sometimes mere fragments of sound. But always leaving an impression that something beyond human comprehension is at play. Those who linger often find themselves reluctant to turn away. Drawn by both curiosity and an instinctive fear. Local lore adds layers to the lake's mystique. Stories of soldiers who never left the battlefield. Of families lost in the aftermath. Of commands repeated through time. Contribute to a shared understanding that Bloodline Lake is a place where history and the present collide. Visitors are warned to exercise caution, especially after dark. The combination of physical hazards, the psychological impact of the ghostly phenomena, and the lingering memory of the lake's past, creates an environment that is both alluring and forbidding. As dawn breaks, the fog lifts and the figures vanish, leaving the lake calm once more. The whispers fade, the reflections return to normal, and the water appears serene. Yet the memory of night lingers in the minds of those who witnessed it, a silent testimony to the unseen forces that dwell there. Bloodline Lake remains a place where the past asserts itself, where echoes of battles, commands, and cries resonate through the fog. And where every ripple and shadow is a reminder of the lives intertwined with the water's edge. The lake endures as both a natural wonder and a site of mystery. Its beauty draws visitors, while its history and unexplained occurrences instill a sense of reverence and caution. Bloodline Lake is a living memory, a reflection of past and present entwined. A place where the water holds stories and the fog carries secrets, patiently waiting for those who dare to listen and witness its haunting presence. Nightfall Lake sits high in the Montana mountains, surrounded by jagged peaks and dense coniferous forests. The air is thin and crisp, carrying a chill that seeps into the bones even in the middle of summer. The lake itself is dark and still, reflecting the sky with an almost unnatural clarity. Moonlight glimmers on the water, and on calm nights the surface appears like black glass. It is in this reflection that many report the first signs of the lake's eerie presence. These are not the faces of those present, but something older, lingering, a memory frozen in water. Campers who spend the night on its shores tell of strange sensations, a heaviness in the air that presses against the chest. Some have felt unseen hands tugging at their limbs, pulling them toward the water's edge. The sensation is fleeting yet powerful, leaving a lingering fear that follows them long after leaving the lake. Footsteps approach over the rocks and sand, yet when turned to face them, nothing is there. Figures in the water are sometimes glimpsed, their outlines faint against the moonlit surface. They do not move as humans do, gliding slowly or remaining entirely still. Their presence is quiet but undeniable, a weight that shifts the atmosphere and demands attention. Many describe a feeling of being watched, eyes tracking movements even in the darkness. Mist often rises from the lake at night, curling along the surface and creeping into the surrounding forest. The mist carries with it a strange quiet, muting distant sounds and amplifying closer ones. The rustle of leaves or a snapping branch becomes unnervingly close, as if Sumania or something is moving just out of sight. Shadows stretch unnaturally across the rocks and trees, blending with the fog and creating forms that vanish the moment they are focused on. The water reflects more than just the moon. It captures movement. In ways that seem impossible, ripples that appear without cause, shapes that linger a moment longer than they should. It is as if the lake holds fragments of reality and memory, revealing. Whispers are reported along the shore, barely audible yet persistent. They are not coherent words, but a low hum of sound that seems to echo from the water itself. Some describe them as pleading, others as warning, but all convey a sense of urgency. Standing alone on the rocks or the sand, a person cannot shake the impression that the lake is alive, conscious, and aware of their presence. Even the landscape surrounding Nightfall Lake seems different. The forest is dense, the trees tall and close together, creating deep shadows that obscure paths and landmarks. Trails become disorienting, turning back on themselves or vanishing altogether. The wind carries sounds unpredictably, and the mountains reflect echoes in ways that seem to distort both distance and direction. Visitors find themselves acutely aware of every step, every movement, every breath. Those who linger too long often speak of a sense of time stretching and compressing. Hours feel like minutes, and minutes like hours. The lake exerts a subtle pull, drawing attention to its surface and the surrounding darkness. Lights flicker intense, campfires behave strangely. And shadows seem to move independently of their sources. Every sense is heightened, creating a cinematic and immersive experience that blurs the line between the seen and the unseen. Nightfall Lake is a place that commands respect. Its high-altitude location, icy waters, and shifting fog create an environment that feels otherworldly. Visitors are reminded that nature itself can be unpredictable, yet the experiences reported here go beyond natural phenomena. Shadowy figures, distorted reflections, unseen hands, and whispers combine to produce an atmosphere that is both beautiful and unsettling. To witness Nightfall Lake is to encounter a space that challenges perception. The dark water, sudden drops in temperature, and spectral shapes create a narrative that unfolds slowly and silently. Every ripple in the water, every flicker of fog, and every movement in the shadows adds to a story that is intangible yet powerful. Visitors leave with the memory of a lake that exists between reality and something else entirely. A place where the night holds its own secrets and watches those who dare to enter. The allure of Nightfall Lake is undeniable. Its beauty is mirrored by a sense of danger. A reminder that some places hold memories that refuse to fade. Travelers carry with them impressions of a lake that is alive in ways that are subtle yet persistent. A body of water that is both a mirror and a veil. Those who approach it must navigate not just the terrain but the unseen forces that linger. An experience that is unforgettable and forever haunting. Nightfall Lake remains a testament to the power of isolation, mystery, and the unknown. Its black waters, spectral figures, and sudden chills create a cinematic world that is both mesmerizing and disquieting. Those who visit enter an environment that is as alive as it is silent, as beautiful as it is terrifying, a place where the boundary between the natural and the supernatural is forever blurred. Shadowmire Lake rests deep within the wooded hills of Kentucky, its dark waters reflecting the dense forest that surrounds it. Mist often rises from the surface in the early morning, curling between the trees and creating an eerie veil over the shoreline. The lake is beautiful in its isolation, yet a sense of unease hangs in the air, a tension born from its long history of disappearances and unexplained occurrences. Hikers and swimmers who venture close are often warned by locals of the Lakia's strange nature, though curiosity continues to draw the adventurous to its edges. Many who visit Shadowmire Lake report seeing figures beneath the surface, dark shapes that seem to follow them as they move along the shore. The figures are indistinct, often glimpsed only in the periphery of vision, yet they are persistent. They move slowly, almost deliberately, appearing to watch or study the movements of those who dare approach the water. Some describe the sensation of being observed even when no one else is present, a feeling that intensifies the deeper into the forest they walk. On certain occasions, dark silhouettes rise from the water itself, forming shapes that are almost human in appearance. They emerge slowly, standing as if on invisible platforms just above the Lakia's surface. For a fleeting moment, they seem tangible. But when approached, they vanish into the trees, leaving only the rustling of leaves and the faint ripple of water in their wake. Witnesses often describe a chill that accompanies these sightings. A cold that seems to settle in the bones and linger long after the encounter. The lake's surroundings amplify its unsettling presence. Trees lean heavily over the water, their branches forming natural tunnels and casting deep shadows across the shoreline. The forest floor is soft and damp, muffling footsteps and adding an element of disorientation. Every sound is amplified in this setting, from the gentle lap of water against the shore to the distant call of wildlife, creating an environment where perception is constantly challenged. Even the smallest movement of mist or shadow can be misinterpreted, yet many swear the lake is more than a trick of the eyes. Visitors also report strange sensations along the water's edge. Sudden chills appear without warning. And the air sometimes feels thick, almost heavy with presence. Objects left near the shore have been known to move slightly, displaced in ways that defy explanation. These subtle signs contribute to the sense that Shadowmire Lake is alive in some way, aware of those who enter its domain, and capable of interacting with them in subtle, unsettling ways. The water itself has a deceptively calm surface, but below it lies an unpredictable and often dangerous environment. Ripples appear without wind, and currents shift in ways that seem unnatural. Swimmers describe the sensation of something brushing past their legs, or feeling pressure in the water as if unseen forces are present. Boats and floating debris are sometimes tugged in unexpected directions, heightening the feeling that the lake is not merely a body of water, but a space that operates. As dusk falls, Shadowmire Lake becomes even more enigmatic. The fading light transforms the water into a dark mirror, reflecting the surrounding trees and sky in a distorted, shifting manner. Mist thickens, moving silently across the surface, and shadows deepen along the forest floor. Figures, whether real or imagined, seem to move with greater frequency in the fog, rising from the water or disappearing behind trees. The atmosphere becomes heavy with anticipation, every sound and movement magnified, creating a sense that the lake itself is alive and watching. Local stories and folklore add layers to the Lakia's mystique. Tales of hikers vanishing without a trace, swimmers being pulled below, and figures following visitors along the shore have circulated for generations. These stories, though varied in detail, converge in portraying a place that is simultaneously alluring and dangerous. Shadowmire Lake is a location where natural beauty intersects with the unknown, and where the line between reality and perception is constantly blurred. Despite its dangers, the lake continues to draw those seeking the unusual and the mysterious. The forest and water combine to create a setting that is both cinematic and intimate, where every ripple of water, whisper of wind, and flicker of shadow feels charged with meaning. The forest and water combine to create a setting that is both cinematic and intimate. Shadowmire Lake endures as a site of fascination and fear. Its dark waters, the mysterious figures that rise from them, and the chilling sensations reported by visitors create a landscape that is as captivating as it is unsettling. Those who come here experience more than the physical environment. They encounter a space where the unseen is tangible, where shadows carry weight, and where the lake seems to remember all who have approached its shores. Every visit to Shadowmire Lake leaves an impression. Ripples without cause. Dark silhouettes that vanish into the trees. And the persistent feeling of being watched. All contribute to a sense of timeless mystery. It is a place where curiosity meets caution, where beauty and danger coexist, and where the stories of the past continue to resonate with those willing to enter the fog-laden forest and stand at the edge of the dark, reflective water. Echoing Lake sits quietly in the heart of Oregon, surrounded by dense, towering forests that mute the sounds of the outside world. The water stretches like a dark mirror, reflecting the canopy above, yet beneath its placid surface lies a reputation that has grown over decades. Locals speak in hushed tones about the lake, warning visitors of its strange acoustics, sudden fogs, and the inexplicable disappearances that have marked its history. Even during daylight, the lake has a presence that is hard to ignore. Travelers report hearing voices echo across the water, words and phrases repeating themselves as if carried by the trees, though no one is speaking. Campers describe sounds that seem to originate from beneath the surface, whispers that brush against the edges of perception, leaving a sense of unease that lingers long after they leave the shore. Mist often rolls across the lake, thick and silent, obscuring the far edges and giving the water an ethereal quality. Within this veil, some visitors have reported shadows rising from the depths, elongated and distorted, moving with a purpose that seems deliberate. These figures appear to walk across the surface, their forms reflecting briefly in the water before sinking into the mist, leaving nothing but ripples in their wake. The forest surrounding Echoing Lake adds to its otherworldly atmosphere. Pine and fir trees grow close to the water, their needles brushing the surface in the wind. Their needles masking the subtle sounds of movement. Even animals seem cautious here, their calls muted, leaving an unnatural silence that amplifies every footstep, every distant splash. Hikers have spoken of a creeping sensation, as if the lake itself is aware of their presence, watching and measuring the time they linger. Disappearance stories have long fueled the lake's dark legend. Campers who ventured too far into the mist sometimes fail to return. Friends recall conversations, laughter, and the sound of a fishing line hitting the water, only to later realize a companion has vanished. Searches reveal no traces, no footprints. Only the impression of their presence in disturbed foliage or the faint echoes of their voice carried across the water. Echoing Lake's surface seems to play with perception. Reflections twist in strange ways, capturing movements that cannot exist, faces fleetingly appearing in the ripples before vanishing. Shadows stretch unnaturally in the fog, leading the eye to follow something that may not even be there. Visitors have described the lake as alive, a presence both patient and calculating, drawing attention to the parts of the forest where it is most dangerous to linger. At night, the lake takes on an even more mysterious quality. The moonlight glints off the water, illuminating patches of fog that drift like spirits across the surface. Figures in the mist appear to glide just above the water, indistinct but undeniably present. Voices echo louder, yet with a hollow quality, as though bouncing off some unseen chamber beneath the lakebed. Campers have described the sound of footsteps on the water, slow and deliberate, accompanied by a rising tension that compels them to leave immediately. Visitors often report sensations that cannot be explained. A sudden chill may sweep across the shore, carrying with it the faint scent of wet earth and decay. The wind shifts unpredictably, and shadows appear in peripheral vision, only to disappear when looked at directly. Some have felt a pressure, a pull, as if the lake is testing the limits of their attention, warning them that the longer they stay, the more entwined they may become with its history. Locals advise caution. They speak of echoing lake as if it is a living entity, one that records the presence of those who linger too long. Stories tell of hikers who vanished without a trace, or fishermen whose boats returned empty, rocking gently on the water as though moved by unseen hands. They say the lake preserves a memory of those who come too close, holding them within its mists and echoes, an eternal part of the dark story it carries. Despite the warnings, the lake continues to draw the curious. Paranormal investigators, hikers, and photographers are drawn by the challenge, hoping to witness the inexplicable phenomena themselves. Some come prepared with cameras and recording equipment, yet most find that technology captures only fragments. Shadows blur, voices distort, and the water seems to resist explanation, leaving visitors with more questions than answers. The lake teaches patience and respect. Every ripple, every flicker of mist, and every echo seems deliberate. Campers report a heightened awareness of their surroundings, a sensation that the forest and water are observing, responding, and sometimes even guiding them. Those who ignore this subtle warning risk becoming part of the story themselves, their presence absorbed by the lake, leaving nothing but whispers for those who follow. Echoing Lake is a place where sound and silence coexist unnaturally. The echoes carry memory, fear, and anticipation, moving across the water to reach those who linger too long. Shadows drift in and out of the mist, testing perception and courage. The dark history of Disappearances, combined with the Lakia's strange acoustics, creates a tension that is both palpable and mesmerizing. It is a lake that demands attention, respect, and caution. To approach its waters is to step into a realm where natural law seems suspended. Where voices echo without origin. And where shadows traverse the surface with a life of their own. Visitors leave with stories, often fragmented and haunting, carrying the memory of a place. Where the line between the seen and unseen is thin and fragile. Echoing Lake remains in its forested solitude, a witness to the past and the present. It is a place that remembers, watches, and waits. Every visitor adds a new layer to its legend, yet the lake keeps its secrets. Leaving the outside world forever distant and silent. Lakes are mirrors. But some reflect more than the world above. These haunted lakes are portals to the past. Reminders of lives lost and mysteries never solved. The water carries memories. Whispers, and shadows that linger long after the living have gone. Every ripple is a story. Every fog a warning. And every shadow a presence waiting to be seen. Next time you approach a quiet lake at night, remember these tales. If you hear your name whispered across the water, pause, and consider turning back. Would you dare to step closer to a haunted lake, knowing the vanished may still reach for the living? Some waters hide more than fish. Some depths are better left unexplored.